We're live.
Peace, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Are You Aware Convos, where we sit down with other dope aware humans who we are interested in, motivated, and inspired by. My name is Rich. I'm the co-founder of the Aware brand. I'm here with my brother, my business partner, my compadre, Drew Sanders. Say what up to the people.
What's up?
Yeah, so we have a real dope conversation lined up for y'all today, man. We have a woman who wears many hats, right? She is on 1/5 of the Black Girl Pod. She's a budding filmmaker, cinematographer, video producer, XYZ. We have Alysha P here today. Give it up for Alysha.
Hi. Thank you so much.
Welcome.
I've been so excited all week. Like, when is Friday?
Yeah.
I can't wait to have this conversation.
Yes.
I'm ready.
Well, we're glad to have you for sure. We're definitely glad to have you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we met last year at a Culture Con in real life. So I just want to say, like, your energy was like so welcoming and so like it was just good vibes, man. I was like, dang, yo, Alysha's mad cool. And you told me to DM you on a follow-up. So I DM'd you. We've been talking here and there ever since. So I'm really happy that you're here. Like, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I was just thinking about it, like, damn, I feel like it was around this time last year, right? Or maybe
October.
Was it October?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was the summertime. Things are flying. But yeah, I remember. And I'm like, damn, it's almost been a year since we met. So just to kind of see how things come into fruition is pretty dope.
Yeah, very, 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 very dope. So for the people who are not familiar with you, can you just share with us some of your passions, some of your purpose, like your drives real quick?
Child, what a question. Okay. Purpose is something that I'm still figuring out, but I think I have my foot in the door with that and in regards to what I want to do. So my passion has always been dancing or filming, and filming actually came to me randomly. It came after, like, my father had passed. It came after I had dropped out of school for 5 years. Wow. It came at a time where I just kind of was still finding like what purpose or what my future would be, considering I had just lost my dad at 19. But I had always remembered always picking up the camera, like always. Like, my father was known for taking pictures and having a video camera, and I was the second person in the family that was known for taking pictures and doing video as well. So that's something I just never thought was gonna be like a career. I thought it was just something that I was good at, that I did as, you know, the family videographer, photographer at the time. And that's just what it was. But it wasn't until I had dropped out of school for 5 years, and I had dropped out of 2-year community college when my father had passed.
Wow.
And I watched all my friends graduate from Howard University.
Same.
Howard University.
Yeah.
I had wanted to go to Howard. I had watched them go to NYU or go to law school or medical school, or, you know, just seeing people pass me. And I was so happy, like genuinely, authentically happy for my friends. But I just was like, damn, what am I going to do? And within that time, I had started working at Comcast, and I was making mad bread. And at that time, I was just like, you know, I'm actually doing okay. I'm doing better than my
talk about it. Yeah,
my peers. I'm making some money. I was part-time at the time. We were working off a commission. So my checks were like crazy to be, what, at the time, maybe 2021, and you only had a phone bill at the time.
Facts. Yeah.
So, you know, I was like, I'm just going to do this thing. And then lo and behold, we were laid off. Some wonderful, beautiful woman that I used to work with, her name is Trish, who was in nursing school at the time, said she was going to do whatever it took for me to get back into school. And so when the company laid us off, you know, unemployment and a severance package comes with that. So I had decided to use my severance package. The little bit of 401k I had at that time was going to be a small penalty. And invest back into paying off whatever debt that I had with the community college and go back to school. So at that time, I was going to school 5 years prior, I was going to school for like education. I wanted to be a teacher. So when I went back, I ended up going for communications. And within that journey, that's when I was able to find out that I actually wanted to do video. I accidentally took a video production class because that's the only thing that was available at the time. Yeah, right? We can talk about alignment all through this. But, accidentally took a video production class, and all my teachers were like, you know exactly what you're doing, and you should really take that seriously. So that's just really it. I started interning at Hot 97, and the rest is history.
Well, we're gonna get into that story a little bit. We're gonna get into it a little bit. But let's take it back a little bit though. So when did that self-awareness, journey start? Like, when did the light bulb go on and go on in your head? You're like, you know what? I want to be at my highest self right now. I want to be the best version of myself. So when did that actually start for you?
Oh my God. So it happened in like two sprouts. The first sprout was, I want to say 2011, when I went back to school. It might have been 10 or 11. I keep forgetting. I think it was 11. That's when I had gotten laid off. And that's when I was like, fuck this, full force ahead. Like, I'm not working for any company like this again. I'm going to get my shit together, and I'm going to work in the industry that I wanted to work in.
Wow. Yeah.
So that was just like all uphill, right? So I got laid off. I went on unemployment. Unemployment paid for all of the 2-year community college. I went to Rutgers. I was able to hold down Rutgers myself and, make things work. I wanted to stay on campus. Mind you, I'm 25 years old, living on campus, not 19.
Yeah.
I had to deal with the mentality of feeling like I was old, feeling like, damn, I'm really trying to be something I'm not. But I had to realize what was best for me to prevail in that moment, which was really difficult. Yeah. Because at that time, I'm also now a 25-year-old intern. So remember, I'm going from making like $2,500 checks after, taxes every 2 weeks, to being a 25-year-old intern trying to prove myself at a media company. Crazy. Like huge media company. Yeah. So it was definitely like a mind fuck, for lack of a better term. But within that instance, that's when I was able to realize, like, no, this is what I really want to do. So I soared all the way up to about maybe like 2013, 14, maybe even into the podcast. We started doing the podcast in 2016. Okay. But I feel like I may have plateaued right after that, right? Because now at this point, I'm 30. I'm not an intern anymore, but I'm not necessarily making the amount of money that I was making before going to school and putting, school first. So then it was a plateau. And I want to say quarantine is literally the second sprout that I've had. Oh, shoot. Yeah, literally. Wow. Like, I'm not even going to hold you. Quarantine. Wow. Has been so good to me. And we can get into why when we get to that part of it. But the second sprout of like self-awareness, quarantine.
Whoa. That's dope. So that's good, because our next question is like, what does self-awareness mean to you, right? Because it seems like, I wonder if those are like two different definitions, or those two periods in your life. Like, what does self-awareness mean to you, and how has that changed?
Self-awareness, what does that mean to me? Self-awareness is having a positive POV, point of view of yourself. I think self-awareness before meant something completely different. It was actually not self-awareness. It was perception of what everybody else thought of me, which is literally the complete opposite. So I don't necessarily know that I had self-awareness before. What I was aware of is I knew that I was a good worker. I knew that I was a hard worker. I knew that I would get shit done. I knew I was one of the best. But, sometimes there was a little bit of, I don't know, I got to get validation from people who I think are better than me, thing, right? But I always knew that I was good. I always knew that I was a natural born leader. Like, I'm a Leo. We're just born with that. So, but, through the years of going through situations with people or coworkers or family members, some of that self-awareness tends to leave you. So I think self-awareness now means to me self-love, self-compassion, boundaries with myself and others, understanding what makes me happy, or understanding more so what makes me upset or sad or angry or unhappy, and I think that's just as important as knowing, if not more important than knowing what makes me happy. But yeah, I mean, self-awareness is something I think no one ever just figures out. I think that's like an ever...
It's an ongoing thing.
It's a journey.
Oh yeah, ever. Yeah. It's never gonna stop. Never. Never gonna stop. So self-awareness.
No, I feel you.
Go ahead.
No, I'm listening.
No, I was gonna say self-awareness is really what I've been going through in this quarantine journey right now.
And that's what I was going to talk about. I was just going to piggyback off of that a little bit. Just like, because I feel like for me, I never even thought about like the different phases or the different, you know. I would say quarantine was definitely another phase of self-awareness. But we had nothing to do but to sit in the house and really deal with ourselves for a second, you know. So definitely, I agree. I definitely dealt with some things, you know.
I'm sure.
Knowing these last 6 months, whatever, however long it's been. Right. But
Black people have been going through some shit.
Yeah, man, and we still going through it.
Yeah.
Still going through it. But the last, I want to say 3. It's a lot. It's a lot.
Yeah.
Specifically Black men. Well, I mean, no, I'm not even gonna take away from our Black women. When I'm saying Black men, I'm talking specifically to the George Floyd situation. I know how that affected Black men in my life, like seeing constantly on a daily basis, anger, frustration, tears. Yeah. That was a lot. Yeah. So not to take away from Black women at all, because we're going through our own shit, but what happens is we're so used to going through it. That's even in just in that sentence, I was like, specifically even with Black men. I had to catch myself like, no. Hold up. We going through some shit too. We're not feeling protected. We're not feeling safe. So we're just going through a lot.
Yeah, no, I mean, I didn't even watch the video yet. I probably will never watch the video.
Good. For real? Oh, shit.
Wow. Yeah. I'm just, you know, I can't take it anymore. You know what I'm saying? And you know, I already know what the agenda is. So I don't need to be reminded about the agenda. You get what I'm saying? And we already working towards it. That's what this whole brand was spawned from. You know, the
same stuff. Facts.
All that whole thing. Like we've been building this brand off of that because we knew as Black men that there was a war against us, and we had to like step up in a certain way and know what type of power we bring to the world, we could show up differently, and then that affects everything else that comes towards us. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah. So and God bless you for that, because that is a learned skill as well. Like my therapist has to tell me all the time, stop watching things that you already know.
Yeah.
Like this is physical, this is mental abuse on yourself. You're choosing, you're making the choice to repeatedly put toxicity into your life. Your shirt is literally an example of exactly what you're supposed to do. Is to be kind to yourself. You're supposed to just be like, I know what it is. I don't need to see this Black man dying, calling out to his mother, whatever it is. I already know what it is. And just keep it moving. We have to stop with that. We have to.
Yeah. It's part of the programming though, you know, it's a double-edged sword, but I don't even want to get into all that. Let's pivot for a second.
Bring it back.
You know, for so let's pivot. So I want to talk to you about your career. You know, I heard you, you know, advocate for the non-traditional ways of having a career. I feel like I've taken a non-traditional way in my career. I've been bouncing all over. I've been in corporate, but majority of my tenure in my career has been like independent or working with independent companies, and you know, so I kind of like relate to you. So those who may not even
kindred spirits, yeah.
So for those who may not even know, like what's non-traditional, can you break that down a little bit? You know, just for those who may not know, and then we can talk about the experience.
Yes, so I feel like non-traditional for me is my school experience and the process that I took with that, right? So I just explained a bulk of it. I went to Columbia High School, which I ride that school. I talk about that school all the time. We have such amazing people. SZA went there, Rotimi went there, Ittihad went there. This is all the same 4 years that
I was there. Yeah.
Lauryn Hill, the goddess, went there as well. So, you know, coming from Columbia, and the reason why I mention that is coming from Columbia High School, right? And these are the kinds of people that go to this school. When you graduate, the idea is for you to go to either Ivy League or for you to go to an arts university or something of the sort. So for me, I was having too much fun in high school. Not that I was like not capable of doing well. I just was having way too much fun, which made me go to community college. And even with community college, I was still, you know, not taking it seriously. And I ended up, after my father passed, I ended up just being like, I can't do this. I just couldn't do this. I actually remember the day that I ran out of class. We were watching Death of a Salesman.
Wow.
And it was so parallel to like my father's story at that time. And it just literally took me out at the kneecaps at that point. And I just was like, I'm not going back to school. And so that's when I started to work at AT&T. Actually, I think I worked at Fridays first as a server. Then I worked at AT&T. Then I got fired from AT&T because of a coworker. Best thing that could have happened to me, by the way, because I probably would have been like president of AT&T. Not saying that that's a bad thing, but that just wasn't my purpose. Because I would have been there. I would have been there forever. Because I was excelling. I was like in all the highest programs and stuff like that. So, you know, that means career. Yeah. There's nothing wrong with that. Let me be very clear. It just was not for me. I knew that I never wanted to be that. There's a difference between what you can do and what you are actually put on this earth to do. Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. I've always had the perception of seeing my name in like big bright lights, right? And at the time it was dancing, ballet. I used to do ballet from 6 years old to 17. So I thought I was going to be like, wow. Her name is escaping me right now. Misty. So I thought I was going to be her. You know what I'm saying? So with that, that's when I was able to be like, okay, it's okay to be non-traditional in the journey. I don't have to necessarily go to the 4-year when I'm supposed to go to the 4-year. I could go to the 4-year when I'm a little older. And I actually found out on the back end from most of my friends that they wish they would have been able to go when they were 25 anyway. That's the thing. Yeah. Yeah. And I was just like, yo, thank God. But if I say it, anytime I talk about the journey, right, the only quote unquote regret that I would have is not being able to go to Howard University and having that experience at a HBCU. Shout out to HBCU. Shout out to HBCU. I know, right? Every time I hear that, I'm like, but so for me, I'm actually very thankful my life went the way it did, because I may have never been able to pick up a camera. I may have never been able to work at Hot 97. I may have never been a part of a podcast that is filling the void for Black women and Black girls. I may not have been able to have this conversation with you. You know what I'm saying? I'm so thankful that my journey happened the way it did, because, and I think I said this in one of the early episodes, the journey that you thought you were going to take is not the journey that you're supposed to have. Yeah. Like God literally laughs at us when he's like, oh, so you really thought. Yeah. This is what you want to do. I think quarantine is making that very clear to people right now, but you really thought.
So how much courage and belief do you need to have in yourself to even like take the road, let's travel? You know what I mean? Mm-hmm.
Courage. How much courage do you need to have?
Because a lot of people try to stay straddle the fence, you know, and they're scared to jump. So like, you know, you need courage, you need belief. But
no. I was gonna say, part of me wants to say is you don't even need to have the courage. You need to just do it. Scared.
Do it scared. Right?
Do it scared. I love that.
I mean, I guess it is courage a little, but courage, when you hear the word courage, right, it sounds so full. It sounds like you have to be ready and prepared and you got to know what you want to do. And no, sometimes you just need to be like, I have no fucking clue what's going to happen. I'm pretty sure that I might fuck this up, but I'm just literally going to do it. And I have to remind myself of that every day, whether I'm sending an email, whether I'm about to have a hard conversation with a coworker, a friend, a parent, a sister, a cousin, a boyfriend. It's just to do it scared. And I'm continuously learning that it's okay to fall, man. That's some of the best stories. Every part of my story that I really like want to tell, and the story that I feel the most passionate about is literally downfall. Yeah, the stuff at the top is cool, but the part that I'm like, let me tell y'all what happened, is always the juice of it. So just do it scared.
Nah, I love that. I love it. Just do it. My mom always told me like to just do it. Like she ain't had the scared part in there. I like that. But she just told me like, she was like, yo, if you ever want to do something, just do it. You know what I mean? So I always kind of just adopted that and just did whatever I felt like I had the desire to do, you know?
Yeah. It's the problem is we've been taught, and we can get into this conversation when we get to Ghana, but we've been just literally taught to not do anything and to sit in space and sit down, stay there, be here, don't make noise. And that's why we get scared when we feel something that feels right to us, because we're like, but I don't know So, and we'll get into that for sure.
Yeah.
So when did you feel like, you wanted to share your perspective with the world, like picking up a camera or, writing or stuff like that? Like, when did you know you wanted to do that? When you wanted to share your perspective with the world?
I want to say
probably even in high school, huh?
No, in high school, I really didn't know. I didn't take any video classes. I took photography classes. We were doing film at that time, so we were learning how to develop film and all that. And even then, I took that class like my last semester senior year.
Yeah.
When did I know? I mean, I think Hot 97 is where I was thrown into the fire with video. I feel like I learned more of video than I actually did at Rutgers.
Wow.
Because I got to Hot, they needed an intern. The production team, the video production team was like 3-4 people at the time. And she was like, you can start tomorrow. And I was like, huh? And then I got there tomorrow. And then I was editing. I want to say the first day or the first week, I can't remember. I had to shoot. I went on the shoot with my supervisor at the time. I walk into the room. I'm in the room with Funk Flex. I'm taking it back then. 2 seconds later, Drake walks in with a CD in his hand. CD in his hand, and I'm like, oh, so I'm gonna be this close? Oh, this is real. So I'm here. So in that moment, you don't have a choice but to, like, you're in it. You're shooting. You don't know how to use the camera. You better figure it out. Drake is here, Flex is here. This is important content. So you better get it together. This is content for the culture at that. So, if we mess something up, the culture's going to come for us. This is pre-Instagram. No. This might have been around the start of Instagram.
Okay.
So I want to say maybe 2011.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So, and I think Instagram maybe was like a year older.
It was new. Yeah, it was new then.
Yeah. You had to have an iPhone. And a lot of people didn't have an iPhone at that point. We were just starting to get iPhones. But yeah, I think at that moment, that's when I was like, oh, no, I have to do this. This is what this is about. Not only for this company, but for myself. And then slowly but surely, like, I would start to shoot some stuff myself. I would do some freelance gigs myself. And the rest is history.
Yeah. So let's talk about Black Girl Pie, right?
Oh, no.
I'm a man. I listen to y'all. That show is amazing. You guys did Essence. So what made y'all want to get that started? Like, I know.
Hey, Rich.
Oh, you're breaking up a little.
Yeah.
You're breaking up a little.
You're breaking up, brother.
So you said, I heard you say Black Girl Podcast. Listen.
You're back now.
Yeah. I'm good. I'm back. Okay.
Yeah, you're good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, because I know you ladies met at Hot 97. So, like, what was it that made you want to come together and start this dope podcast?
Yeah. So the podcast was all by mistake. It was literally, we were in the hallway. We had just come from doing an interview with someone with Ebro in the morning, and some of us were coming out of the studio, and I believe Safira and Rebecca, may have been having a conversation in what was called the intern desk at that time, because they were waiting for all of us to come out. And I want to say Scotty and I were coming out the studio, because Scotty at the time was a digital producer and I was a videographer there. And I believe I was shooting. So when I came out, we started talking. I think we started talking about whatever Safira was talking about. It might have been a dude she was dating or whatever.
Yeah, okay.
And then Ebro came out and he was like, look at this. And he pulled out his phone. He was like, look at this. This is what a Black Girl Podcast would look like. And I was like, Safira and I were both like, did you hear that?
Yeah.
And then Safira was really the person that was like, we're going to do this. We're going to try. And then she brought in Gia. She was like, we have a fifth person. We're going to bring Gia. And then Safira was literally the person that pushed us to record. And we did a test recording. And we sent it to a couple of friends that we believed in, or that believed in us, actually. And we had a good relationship. And they were like, y'all need to do this. So we ended up linking with Peter Rosenberg, who was able to give us the alley on a producer that was able to bring us into a studio where we recorded our first 4 episodes, and then we launched them on December 22nd of 2016.
Nice.
So it all happened by mistake, honestly. It wasn't a grand plan.
Yeah.
It was alignment from above.
Shout to Safira. That's dope.
No, 4 years later, y'all still thriving, so it's dope.
Yeah, Safira was that backbone that was like, we're gonna do this. I was the only person that was like, y'all heard that? And then Safira took that shit and she ran with it.
Yeah, man. So like for me, one of the biggest takeaways of like listening to you ladies is you kind of set a standard for what it means to like be for womanhood, like what it means to show up for one another. I love how when one of you was telling a story and then one of you come in like, yo, wait, like that was such a great thing that you did. You're really challenging yourself. You're really growing. Like, I think that's so important because like me and Drew do that for each other, right? We'll get on the phone and we'll talk about stuff and really just encourage one another, right? And challenge each other at the same time. So I know the chemistry is organic, but are you ladies like very intentional about like letting people see those moments?
Yeah, I mean, initially that wasn't the case. If you listen to the first few episodes, we're kind of like, yeah, hi. So this is what's happening. Yeah, I'm good today, but I felt a little sad. Gotcha. And then I think once we started getting to like the Umi episode, which is maybe within the first 10 episodes, that's when we started to just be like, nah, we just gonna let it all out. And it was just transparency at that point. And it didn't happen intentionally. It would just be through the episodes we would speak so candidly and so freely and so raw that it would just, the transparency would just flow. So, and within those instances, you know, honestly, it's just a conversation and the mics are on. That's really what it is. Yeah. We tried to produce our episodes, and those produced episodes, not that they did terribly, but that's not everybody's favorite. Everybody's favorite episodes are the ones like Umi or Fight or
New Growth.
That did really well. A couple of them, but those are all the ones where we're like either crying or being super funny, or we're just holding each other accountable. Like, it's just a lot of those situations is just pretty much what made us say we're doing ourselves a disservice and our listeners a disservice by holding back. It's also very therapeutic for us. It's also like a audio diary for us. When we sometimes go back and listen, like I think on New Year's, like around the New Year's Eve time, when we're going into the New Year, sometime we'll listen back to the last episode we did like that. And when you listen to that growth or the lack thereof, they're just like, wow. You know what I'm saying? So it's all happening the way it's supposed to. It's really not us. It's really not.
That's like, heavy. Yeah. How do men receive you? Because I remember when we met, I was telling you like, yo, I'm a black straight dude, and I listen to y'all dope. Like, because like a lot of what you talk about is through the women lens, right? But there's also some universal things that you talk about when you're talking about like becoming a real adult, right? Or like trying to balance work and life, and you know, things like that we can all, men and women can identify with. So how do the men respond to you when you meet them?
Men are definitely, a lot of men, I'm sorry, y'all, this is like my work emails.
That's on mute.
I know, I'm trying to, and it never does it. It's literally acting up for y'all today. I turned it off. Men low-key don't like to tell us they listen because they feel like it's like, oh my God, like I don't listen to 5 girls. But the men who understand and receive us, they do, and they listen. Like, you listen, my homeboy who lives in Miami, he's a doctor, he listens, he calls me after every episode, and
that's dope.
Like, you wildin' or you're not wildin' or whatever. So, and it actually helps his POV, and he also gives me insight on things from his perspective. So men receive us. I just don't think men realize that this is not a male bashing show. It's just literally transparency from the perspective of 5 different women who think 5 completely different ways. Actually, if men did listen, I think they would understand women so much better
Yo.
Or understand that they may not have been understanding how to receive or approach a woman because they didn't understand a woman, right? We had a situation where one of our listeners DM'd me, and she told me that her and her now fiance got engaged because they used to listen to Black Girl Podcast every day after work, and they would have a conversation about Black Girl Podcast episode, and he would come to understand her better. And he proposed to her on a flight. It actually was on the Shade Room. It was really big.
Wow.
Proposed to her on a flight. And now they were actually supposed to get married in May and invited us, but because of Corona, they weren't able to. But listen,
but that's funny because I was talking to Rich yesterday about this. I was like, because he listened to the podcast. I'm probably listening to a couple episodes. I'm not even gonna flex, right? But I was like, this is an opportunity, right? Because you just hit it on the head, right? To bridge that gap between Black men and Black women on understanding what Black women need, because it's 5 different perspectives, like you just said, and we can learn so much as a man listening to this. We can learn so much about women, and it can help us out in the long run. So I think we need that perspective. We need to understand. We need to listen in. We need to tune in. So I'm gonna do better by and start tuning in. So
What's her name? When I met Scotty, at Culture Con too, and I was like, yo, Black straight dude, I listen to y'all show, y'all killing it. And she was like, yo.
But why you feel like you gotta say you're a Black straight dude though?
Because I just want to let them know, like, it's not, because I think that if it's a woman, it's through a woman's lens, right? Yeah. So I just want them to know, like, yo, even though you're talking through true to your experience through a woman's lens, I'm a Black straight dude, and I rock with it, yo. I appreciate it. And Scotty told me, she was like, yeah, it's the cheat code for dudes, and I was like,
that's shit.
It really is. It honestly really is. Like, it's literally, if you want to know what we're thinking, all you simply have to do is just listen.
That's how I got my game. I was raised by nothing but women, so I got a lot of game from women. So. It turned me to a savage, but you know what? We're gonna talk about that another time.
That's a whole other thing.
This is why I'm in therapy now, because of that. You know what I'm saying? So we're gonna talk about therapy, because I just started my therapy journey, and I know you're a big advocate about us going to therapy. So when did you get into therapy, and how has it been working out for you so far?
I started therapy in 2018.
Okay.
I was going through a lot in 2018 with coming out of a long-term relationship and dating. And my cousin Tyera, who is an LSW, she's a licensed social worker, who was really close to me. We were speaking all the time, and I just was letting her know, like, my world was going crazy. On top of just, transitioning from working at one company to another, on top of just, family things and just shit like that. And she was just like, I'm sending you therapists right now. So you went on therapyforblackgirls.com. She screenshot like a couple of different therapists that she thought would work for me. And what I was looking for within that was, at the time I was feeling really stuck. So remember I told you, I felt like I graduated college. I'm working at Hot 97. I'm in the studios. I'm doing all this good stuff. Black Girl Podcast is popping. And then now I'm feeling like I'm plateauing. So I felt like I was really, really stuck at that point. And I was looking for that word in the description. And I found a description of a woman who said, her first line was literally, I help Black women get unstuck. And that's what made me, that's literally how I went. Like, alignment is insane.
Wow.
But I had called for her, and she was a Black woman and she wasn't available. And that almost turned me off. And I was like, I want a Black woman who's Haitian, who's young, will understand. Because I need to be Haitian to understand what a Haitian family is like. Because if you don't get it, then you don't get me.
Facts.
Right. So, yes. So with that, I almost let that discourage me. But when I emailed, the admin had told me there was a woman of color who was available that took my insurance, and I gave it a shot. And ever since then, I've been with her, and I'm so glad I didn't allow, her not being Black to be, why I didn't take her. I think experiences and what people go through in their lives and just the education they have as a doctor, as you know, whatever, I think all of that contributes. Because let's say if I had a Black woman and she just, you know, I'm just a paycheck to her, you know, I'm just another person to her. We don't know. I don't know. I'm not saying that's the case.
That's so crazy.
I'm not saying that's the case, but I can't just think because you're a Black female Haitian young who understands social media, which were my terms that I needed, right? That you're gonna get that we're gonna be compatible. Let me say that. So yeah, that's really how the journey started. I started going every Thursday. Initially in the beginning, I was kind of like, can I change the date? Can I move the time? And she had to really put me in my place. Like, I need you to understand, this is 45 minutes out your day. You need to make this a priority for you if you really want to get better. Because priority and prioritizing your life is the only way that I'm going to be able to work with you. And then I was like, she got me together. And I've been consistent ever since. So that's really how the journey started.
So what would you suggest for those out there who maybe want to seek, you know, therapy? Like, what are some of the main things they should be looking out for? Should they like try one therapist out and then go to another one just to see if that person works? So what do you think is the best route of going, you know, seeking therapy?
I mean, don't be discouraged. You know, just, again, if the person doesn't look like you or speak like you, that doesn't mean that they're not for you. The first two sessions that I had with her, I had gotten there and I think they forgot to put me in the schedule. I could have literally been like, fuck this therapy thing. I'm for it, not doing it. It's not for me, right? Yeah. And then the second instance, I had another issue with the same, you know, situation, to the point where I was like, maybe this is God trying to tell me therapy is not for me. You know, trying to make
tell ourselves some stories, Get
yourself out of it.
So, you know, and even with that being said, I had to, you know, be put in my place. And thankfully, you know, the person I was dating was there for me. He's in therapy as well. And he was just like, this is just the devil knowing what you're about to do with your life. It's not God telling you not to go. It's the devil intervening.
Bars.
You know, you about to take your life together and he's trying to stop you. So with that, I had to then really just be like, relax, take a beat, and just do it. And that's just, again, that is literally going to be my answer to everything. Please just do it scared. Please do it unsure. Please do it unfulfilled. Please do it insecure. Like, just do it, because you're going to get to a place where you're just like, this whole time, what was I stressed out about? And again, go to these websites. Go to Therapy for Black Girl. If you know somebody that is in therapy, see if they could recommend someone within that facility. Do your due diligence to read up on therapy. Call your insurance. People don't even know that you could just literally call your insurance.
They give you a whole list. Yeah.
The same way you call for a primary doctor. It's no different.
Yeah.
Tell them where you want to have your therapist. If you want to do it in the state that you live in, the city that you work in, whatever. For me, I did it in the city that I worked in. I live in Jersey. I didn't want to have to try to rush into Jersey after work, considering, you know, a lot going on at the city with work and, you know, the things that I do with the podcast. I didn't want to have to feel like I needed to rush to Jersey. So, and if that therapist you feel really, truly, genuinely doesn't work out with you, then on to the next. Don't be discouraged.
Yeah. I'm going through a situation like that right now. I feel like it's just a paycheck for myself.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. I don't feel like that with my therapist. And if you feel like that, if you feel like you're just, you know, you don't have like a, I don't want to say personal attachment, because this is also not your friend.
You need that personal connection, though, for sure.
A rapport.
I want to say rapport, because you have to understand, it's not, your therapist is not your friend.
Facts.
And that's what I think people seek when they're looking for therapists, because you're talking about some really intimate, dark, deep secrets. They're not your friend. They're there to let you know therapeutically what is going to be best for you, and if you need to be able to see a psychiatrist at that point, right? Not saying that it will come to that, not saying that it will ever be that, but that is what a psychologist or a psychotherapist will do, right? So we have to be uncomfortable with the fact that this person may not come and give you a hug, and that's what that's what we look for in our insecurities and our secrets, that somebody's going to come and say, it's okay.
Come here.
Actually, your therapist is going to be like, that's not okay. You have trauma. This person that you thought was safe is actually not. Or this part of your life is where you got fucked up. Like, they're not going to give you a hug. They can, I don't even want to necessarily say console you, because I don't think that's the word I'm looking for either. They can ease you through it, but they're not going to hold your hand through it. And they physically can't do that either. So I think in regards to, you know, how you may feel about that, right? Maybe, I don't know how long you've been with your therapist.
Oh, it's only been like the first 2, you know. But
yeah, see, and that's still early. He's also doing, I don't know if it's a he, but your therapist is also doing their due diligence to figure out who you are, and even being able to see if they could take you on as a client, right?
Yeah.
So that may be the thing. So considering it's your first 2, you know, with my first 2, I didn't feel like a huge connection either. Like, oh my God, she's perfect for me. That wasn't the case. It wasn't until we got into some shit, and I was like, okay, she might be for me. And it felt like the one time that I thought that I was going to tell her that I'm thinking about looking at another therapist. I never said it out loud. I never told it to anybody. I literally got in the session, and she spoke about everything in a way that I needed her to the point where she even said to me, I know that you're thinking about getting another therapist. I had never said it out loud.
Wow. Yeah.
I never said it out loud. So she just might be that good at mind reading that she may have felt it, but you have to give yourself the grace to understand that being uncomfortable is what that's going to feel like. It's still very new for you. So don't feel like it's not going to get better. Give it some time.
Yeah, I told myself I'm gonna do like one more session with her.
Yeah, we had a good talk about it.
You know, we'll see how it goes. But you know, as we talk, because we know we're running on time. But I want to talk about, like, this is the last question around therapy. As we grow, as we become our best selves, we break patterns, right? So your experience with therapy, have you broke some patterns or some ways of thinking, you know, throughout that journey? Because I know a lot of people seek, you know, when they go to therapy, that's what they want to do, right? They want to break patterns, but you can attest to it. So we would love to hear your experience.
Yeah, I mean, you know, again, I don't want it to seem like I go to therapy and then the next thing, boom, I'm changed. Therapy breaks the cycle, you know, pattern is done.
Right.
That's not how it is. But what I have been able to do is identify the patterns, which is just as important, if not more important, than actually breaking it.
Ooh,
once you identify it, you know what it is, and every time it shows up in your life, you're able to do that, and then you break it again, right?
Self-aware, yeah.
So, and again, that's the self-awareness part that we're talking about. So for me, I have been starting and dancing with the ideas of breaking patterns, which I feel like quarantine has forced me to do. Like, literally threw me into the fire to force myself in order to be able to find happiness within myself, within everything, a part of my life, the people around me. It absolutely forced me to have boundaries with myself, with people around me, with people that I, you know, do business with people that I, you know, considered longtime friends, with family members. So those are all patterns that I more so had to identify, that I am learning about myself, you know, that I do have anxiety, you know, that I am anxious in situations, and it's not in situations where I thought, you know, the anxiety and the anxiousness was healthy. It's more so situations where pieces of trauma that I didn't even know was trauma is tingling right on up, and that's what's causing the anxiousness and the anxiety and the frustration and the sadness and the anger. And those are the patterns that are most important to identify, because those are the ones that are consistently going to live with us, considering we've had years of trauma. The day we're born in trauma. No, excuse me, the day we're conceived in trauma. Let's be clear.
Our parents are traumatized.
The trauma is coming from mommy and daddy, and boom, that shit is in our DNA. It is in our DNA. So, you know, again, I think identifying your patterns are the most important part of therapy for me right now.
Oh.
And once you get there, when I tell you the exhale that you're gonna get, you're gonna just be like, okay. And I make this, I say this exact same thing over and over and over and over when I speak, and I'm gonna continue to do it. I say this joke every time, but Erykah Badu's Bag Lady, it's so important to think about as an adult in whatever stage you're in as your life and in your life. I thought, here's a joke, I had a clutch full of baggage, right? You know, a clutch, clutch is about this big. When I got in therapy, this was like, nope, you got to carry on. You have a checked bag, a backpack, a duffel bag, the clutch you thought you had times 2. You got all of the above. I came in here thinking, like, fix these 5 things.
Yeah, let me get out of here. Yeah.
Like you have this. So I constantly make that joke because it's relatable to us. You know, we sing Bag Lady all the time. Bag Lady, you gonna hurt yourself. But if you actually listen to it,
you're gonna hurt your back.
You're gonna hurt your back. He's gonna he's not gonna want that baggage. He's gonna leave, child. You gonna leave. You're not gonna do okay. It's so real. I just wish I understood what I was saying.
I know. We ain't know, child.
But I say all that to say, and I say all of this to say, and I say it in repetition because I think repetition is important with therapy, right?
100%.
You cannot think that the baggage that you have is about this big. You don't know what exists up here. Subconsciously, our subconscious mind is a completely different mind on top of this mind. You know what I'm saying? Once you start to identify that, and once you start to realize how important of a role your subconscious mind actually plays, you're going to start to realize, yeah, I got to break this cycle. Then you're going to start to realize, I can't pass this cycle on. I can't pass it down because we're never going to get better. I'm just really proud of this generation and that we're having more so of these conversations.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know what made it trendy, who made it trendy. I'm happy it is. I'm happy having these conversations. This month alone, between July and today, I think I've had about 4 to 5 conversations on therapy.
Awesome.
Wow.
Like publicly speaking about it. That would never happen 5 years ago. 2 years.
Yeah.
Nah, because I mean, it was even like tough for me to even like say I'm going through therapy right now. It's still new to me. But I was like, you know what? Why not be transparent and be vulnerable in the moment and let people know that it's okay. You know what I mean? Especially for us, as like you said earlier, Black men are going through so much. We need it, and Black people in general, we need this. You know what I mean? We so much that we have to uncover. You know what I mean? And like you said, that subconscious, it's so much built up in that subconscious that we don't even deal with, and don't even know about. And as a culture, we need to go ahead and deal with it so we could progressively move forward, because I think that's kind of the issue.
Yeah, man. Listen, I tripped to Ghana, and I know you guys want to talk about Ghana, so I'll wait till we get to it. But
we there. Go ahead. Yeah. You went to Ghana, go.
My trip to Ghana was really eye-opening on like the ideas of what, what's the word I'm looking for? For lack of a better term, enslavement actually is. Not just the physical sense of being enslaved, right?
Yeah.
The actual mental shit that we went through with being enslaved. Standing in a dungeon, and that's what we're supposed to call it, right? They like to call the castle, the slave castle, to glorify the idea of what happened to these Africans.
That's manipulation.
Exactly. So now we're talking about mental. So, when you actually step into these dungeons and you see that this space is no bigger than a New York City bedroom apartment, and you have 300 bodies in here and you're stacking them, and then you're opening little bits of holes and pieces to throw food in. And then you start to realize that the idea of the crabs in a barrel comes from, Europeans sailing the seas to put food through holes, to manipulate the idea, to make us into science lab of
experiments.
Experiments to then be, I'm getting chills talking about it. Even to be like, okay, so the crabs in a barrel mentality didn't actually come from us. It came from surviving. We fought one another to reach to the top to get the food, to survive for ourselves. That's what we could do. That's the only thing we could do in those moments to keep ourselves alive, right? So when you realize that these are the ideologies that you were taught, but then made to believe that actually the crabs in the barrel mentality is your fault. It's actually the complete opposite of that. And then you start to realize these Europeans had church on top of us, and Christianity is the reason that we're praying, and we're praying to the holy gods, but underneath us, our souls literally screaming and crying for help. And these are royal people who are being put in caves in darkness, like literal darkness, for months at a time. Like they weren't just coming to get us the next day, 6 months at a time, to the point where they would stack bodies when they would, you know, decease and move on and pass on. It's just, that trip was just so eye-awakening for me. I thought I knew, you know, what Black culture was to me. And I really, honestly, when I came back, I was like, I don't know shit. I don't know nothing about nothing. I'm glad I was able to touch African soil. I'm glad to have been able to travel to West Africa, to Ghana specifically, and be able to be like, this is home. You know, this is what I identify with. This feels good. When I came back here, when I pulled up, coming from JFK, and I was in back of the Uber, I was like, yo, you don't feel weird? I was like, you don't feel weird being here? I said, I think I'm having reverse culture shock.
100%. Yeah. Yeah.
I think I'm legit having reverse culture shock, and I just couldn't understand why I was here.
Wow.
It was very, like, that moment for me was eerily beautiful. Because you come back here to what you know, and I think I was out there for maybe 2.5 weeks. To come back here to what you know and you're familiar, you get in an Uber, you know, taking the Ubers there, we were in little hot box of cars, you know, coming here to like a truck picking us up. I just was like, I don't know why we came back. I really don't.
Yeah.
That's my experience. Not everybody's experience is like that, you know. But I think with that idea of just understanding that a lot of this shit is not our fault, the first step to curing that is having compassion for ourselves. That's the one thing we just don't ever have, right? We live to literally survive. My therapist yesterday had to tell me, please enjoy what you're going through right now. Because I've had personal accomplishments and some really amazing things that have happened in my life in literally the last 4 months, right? I'll speak to it when I'm ready. But like literally things that I have been praying for.
Yeah.
And I got in that session yesterday saying that I was ready to go to the next thing. And she was like, you're going to stop right here. You're going to not survive because you feel like you have to. You're going to find joy here. And she was like, I need you to understand that this is just your trauma right now. This is just what you're not used to. And your trauma is telling you to move on to the next thing because that's what you think you're supposed to do in order to feel fulfilled. No, stop and feel happy and be okay. Live in your joy. Be happy. Literally be happy. Literally be happy. Literally have joy. Like she had to keep saying that. And I just was like, I had it this week. And she was like, no, joy is not this week. Joy is now. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I couldn't get that through my head. Like I was like, but I was doing it last week. I was happy last week.
Yeah.
She was like, no.
That was last week.
Yeah,
that was last week. We talking about now. Yeah.
Exactly. So we have to really understand that it's not our fault. Have compassion. We need to figure out a way. These reparations that we're supposed to be getting, therapy needs to be number one in
bars. Yeah.
Free therapy for Black Americans.
Yeah.
And African Americans. Period. Point blank.
Is needed.
Period. Point blank. And you know, every single Black human being in the world needs to travel to Africa, specifically West Africa.
Yeah.
Once you understand who you are, there's no way you're gonna come back the same. You can't tell me anything to make me feel like I'm about to be the same way I was prior to going there. Because I thought I knew some about Blackness, and there's a lot of things that, you know, the Europeans got to my family tree about, you know what I'm saying? They were able to successfully say some things to them that stuck to them.
Yes.
Hair and skin tone, and you know, a lot of those
body type. Yeah.
Body type. You know, I'm learning a lot of those things about, you know, the ideas of beauty, the ideas of what success is, the idea of just what love is supposed to look like, and how you're supposed to receive love, and how you're supposed to give love. Literally, I'm unlearning that. And I really truly think, parallel to therapy, going to Ghana has literally changed my life.
Mm-hmm.
My life in the last, from December to now, I feel like might have taken 4 years.
Yeah.
So I'm almost, sometimes I get dizzy. I'm almost like, I don't know if you remember the Wendy meme where she's like in the
yeah.
I feel like her, or I feel like what is that, SpongeBob?
Yeah.
Yo, sometimes I'm just like, yo, what's happening? What is happening?
What's happening for you right now?
God.
Yeah, honestly, all of the alignment, like God knew that I needed stillness in my world in order to be able to apply and really hone into myself, right? The very beginning of quarantine was really hard for me, like really hard. Crying every other week. I was anxious. I was frustrated. I was like an emotional wreck, right? And then things progressively started to get easier, but to the point where it was like getting crazy, where I was doing twice a week with her. And then we got to a point of, you know, being able to talk about some things and get me to a place where I started to, you know, kind of level out and even out. And ever since then, remember, I think we were talking about purpose, being able to find your purpose. I think the second round of that has been since quarantine. I've been able to be like a little more recharged. And initially, COVID, you know, before COVID, personal situations that happened to me prior to COVID, then, you know, not understanding what might happen with work, and then George Floyd, and then riots, and Breonna Taylor, and you know, Black trans women, much. I say this again, another thing that I'm always saying in these conversations is that while there's so much chaos happening outside, I think what's happening on top of that, parallel to that, is a beautiful awakening that I think is hitting the Black community, where we're starting to realize, okay, mental health is actually more important than I thought. We're not supposed to deal with all of this. And we're starting to see that right now. And I think I'm so thankful that outside of the chaos, we're able to find that. Those lives weren't lost for no reason. And I really truly believe that those stories is what's going to change the generation, our generation, and the generations to come. Like Gen Z, they're not fucking around. We're just having the conversations for them, but they're about to come in here like, where's my health insurance? Where's my mental health care? You know, I mean, I think we're gonna get to a place where we're breaking cycles finally. I think we're starting to really break cycles. And I'm just really thankful that it's happening now in a time of stillness where the world has to actually pay attention to it.
Yeah,
I love that. That was a lot.
Drew, before you go to the next your question, we're gonna get into Kaepernick, but I just wanted to say, like, there's a guy, A. Rashid, man. He's a brilliant. He talks about Kabbalah and stuff, but he always says like the ancestors are in control, right? So when I think of like you having these major breakthroughs in your life, just transforming, I think about your dad, yo. To be honest, like, because it's like, yo, just do your work, yo. I got you. You know what I mean? Do your work, and I got you. And all we have to do is do our work and let the ancestors take over, because the ancestors are always in control.
It's literally that. It is, you know, again, a lot of the stuff that I'm even doing with my life is my dad. I didn't know how much I was like my dad until my dad left me, you know? And even just to this day, my uncle passed, in May, I think. And even we had to do, you know, a service over Zoom. And my cousin had said at the end of the service, you know, she started crying and she made me cry. She was just like, thank you so much to my cousin Alysha, who was, you know, blessed with the talent of her dad to allow her to understand how to work the computer, to work the cameras and understand, you know, technology, because my dad was so big into all of that. And I just was like, yo, this was never me. This was already planned for me. You know what I'm saying? So even with that, it was just alignment to understand that these are just things that are prepackaged in us already. And once you're ready to tap it, no, not even once you're ready, once it's ready to tap out, right? And just be like, I'm ready to shine. it's just gonna do just that. Like it's really not us, y'all. Like it's really not us. We have no control of our purpose and being. We just abide by it once we find alignment.
Align with it. Yeah.
Once we get aligned with it, that's it.
Heavy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now I'm feeling it in my soul.
Yeah.
I'm glad.
I'm feeling it right now. But
I'm glad.
real talk. This is good. So we talking about, fighting for our rights and, just talking about the rights and everything. And we got a guy, man, who's like probably one of the most notable freedom fighters of our time, Colin Kaepernick. And you worked alongside with him with the Know Your Rights campaign. So let's talk about that and the legacy that he's leaving behind and your role within that campaign as well.
Yeah, shout out to Colin Kaepernick. Always repping him when I can. So I am a video producer and an editor. So I'm within that camp as well as a volunteer. So I'm a volunteer, period. So let's be very clear, volunteer. That is what we do. We volunteer our services for the Black community, which is what we should be doing, period. So within that, the Know Your Rights camp goes to inner cities, and we just bring in Black and brown kids from all over the city, and we have conversations about knowing your rights. So when you get pulled over from by a police officer, health, how to eat properly, how to proportion, banking, finances. I believe we have conversations on mental health here and there. And then we have like special guests come in. Nick Cannon has been one of the people to come in. And we just gift them with some stuff as well. But a lot of the day is spent just talking to these kids about who they are, why they are the way they are, where they come from, how beautiful we are, how important we are, the rights that we have. We have our own rights. And you could go on their website to see, like, you have the right to be loved, you have the right to know your worth, and things like that, So my role is just to capture that. And it's honestly the easiest thing to do. When you see these Black kids and they're raising their hands and they're like super excited to ask a question, or, one kid may be tired, the other kid will be like, yo, wake up, man, you got to pay attention. Just things like that. And we also do a DNA kit as well with Ancestry.com, where Colin allows students to figure out where they're from. Where do you come from? Who are you? You don't know who you are. Unfortunately, we don't have that luxury to know exactly where we come from. So Colin, is able to provide those services to these students where they take the kit and they can identify. So I am from Nigeria. I am 36% Nigerian, and super important. The reason why we go through a lot of the things that we go through is because we just really don't know who we are, where we come from, what we stand for. None of that. We just know we were put here, and we're just trying to maintain and survive and work with our heads down. But I think when we start to identify the royalty that we are, then we can start really showing up as that. And that's what Colin is just doing through his work.
Awesome. Great work. Great work.
Yeah.
Well, they're hearing him now.
It's so crazy. It's so ironic. Like it was like a huge deal with him kneeling 2-3 years ago, but now it's a thing. Like in the NBA.
It's so loud. Shout out to Roger Goodell for coming in there and not really being able to say anything like his name, but we gonna talk about that another day. But the right people are saying his name. You know what I'm saying? So it's just really important. It's just really important to realize, like, fight, because one day, everybody else is gonna tag along.
It was a prime example. It was such a
being ahead of the curve.
What did he start kneeling?
4 years ago?
That was a minute ago.
Perfect.
And honestly, it only took 4 years. I mean, it's easy for us to say only because we're not Colin and he hasn't been able to play, but me in the grand scheme of things, right?
Yeah.
It's taken 60 years.
Yeah.
But look, but unfortunately, it had to take all of this for an organization to really be able to understand, hey, he wasn't really making this an American flag thing. It was really just a conversation about the systematic oppressions that Black people have in America.
Yeah, that's it.
And here we are. Everybody's talking about it now.
Yeah.
That's that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Big shout out to Colin, man, for real, man.
Yeah.
Big shout out to Colin
Yes,
Kaepernick.
Colin, Nessa, the
As you-
whole Know Your Rights camp, all of them doing
The
their
whole
thing
camp, for real.
really
Good
hard
work, y'all.
every day.
Good work.
Yeah.
Yeah. Man, this is a great conversation, yo. Man.
That look great. These questions
Thank
are
you.
amazing.
Thank you. We tried, man. You know, we
really,
tried.
you pay attention. You pay attention. I'm really
So we last thing, just book recommendations, and then we'll part ways.
Yes. So I'll be honest, because I'm not good at this, and I get the risk from here, time to time on not reading books, but I have been trying to finish a book. Oh my God, I'm like low-key embarrassed because this book has been open for years.
Yeah.
But I just started reading it again. I started from the top, and boy, is it applying to my life even more now. It's called You Are a Badass.
I know a few people who read that. Yeah.
I literally should have finished this book like literally 17 years ago. But I just keep putting it down, but I picked it back up again. It's called You Are a Badass.
Yeah.
How to Stop Doubting Your Greatness and Start Living Your Awesome Life. 100% read that.
You Are a Badass.
4 Agreements, I heard, is a really good book. I haven't
Listen.
read that yet. And honestly, there's no reason we shouldn't be finishing these books, because if you look at Audible, these books take only about 5 hours to finish. It really makes no sense. Like, they say this all the time. This is a saying: if you want to hide something from a nigga, put it in a book.
Put it in a book.
We really got to stop. And I'm speaking to myself, y'all. But reading that, You Are a Badass, she has a series of that. I think it's You Are. Okay. I'm reading it here. It's You Are a Badass at Making Money. You Are a Badass Every Day. 4 Agreements. The Gary V books that are. I have those. Someone really important and special to my life brought me those books.
Nice.
So I have all of those literally stacked up to read. I'm trying to think of another kind of like self-help book. You Are a Badass.
Yeah.
Those are the top 2 for me.
Yeah.
Another one is like at the tip of my tongue. But if I remember, the other book that I was going to recommend was 4-Day Work Week, but that's more a conversation. I have to read that one as well. That's more of a conversation on leaving your 9 to 5 and you know, in your purpose and making means with that. So but you are a badass if you want to understand why you are the way you are and who you are and how to remove yourself out of that. It's literally the book that's probably going to make you want to go to therapy. Please read that.
You Are a Badass.
Yes.
Alyshas.
Yes, thank you.
You are a badass, Alyshas, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yes.
You did everything I knew you was gonna do. Yeah. I knew you were gonna come with the bars. I knew you were gonna come with the gems. You know what I'm saying? I was telling Drew, like, nah, Alysha come with the bars, yo. So yeah, you did everything we knew you were gonna do. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm literally just speaking from experience. It's not even like me writing anything down. Besides that comment, everything else is just speaking from experience.
Yeah.
And I appreciate what y'all do. This alone is important. This alone is gonna change our lives, your children's lives. Don't give up on therapy. If you feel like that therapist is not for you, move on to the next one. But I promise you, you're gonna be so happy when you realize how much you don't have to keep all of this built in, and it's gonna reward you with so much, and you're gonna be so free. That freedom, that feeling, even if it's just a little bit, is so worth it.
Yeah.
So I appreciate everything y'all are doing. Please continue.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
There's so much beauty on the other side of the work. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Yes. And an exhale, a very long, powerful exhale at the end of it.
Yeah. Drew, you want to take us home, man?
Yeah, man. Look, man. Again, we want to thank Alysha P for joining our Are You Aware Conversations this week. It was a joy to have you on. It's an honor to have you on, and we're looking forward to having you back on in the future. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, please.
Definitely. And look, where can they find you? Where can they listen to more of you? I know we got the Black Girls Podcast, and just drop. Give us a little quick drop to let you know.
So Black Girl Podcast is streaming on all platforms. So Spotify, SoundCloud, Stitcher. I said Spotify, SoundCloud, Stitcher, and one more. And I never remember the last one.
Apple
Podcast. What am I talking about? Apple Podcast. It's just so like, you should know Apple Podcast. But then you can find me personally on Instagram, Alysha P, ALYSHAP, and on Twitter is Alysha P 819. And I will have more of my personal work coming out shortly.
Healing from home.
Yes, healing from home. Watch my video. It's literally everything that I've been going through in what, maybe like a minute and 30 seconds. It's on my IGTV. Please watch it, share it. I want to do more of that stuff. I've just been trying to chill, be easy. Like, with the changes that's been happening, I've been trying to also enjoy them, as opposed to just trying to rush into the next thing. So all that stuff will soon come.
Yeah.
Make sure y'all tap in with her, man, and get into that. And make sure you tap in with us. Follow us, like our Facebook page, subscribe to our YouTube page. We got a lot more videos and interviews to come. We got some hot gear. Go to the website, Be Kind to Yourself Tees out right now. And we really appreciate all of you guys that's tuned in. And we got you in the tea too, Alysha. We got you in the tea.
Big news coming soon too.
You guys. Really appreciate you guys, and we'll see you guys soon. All right.
Bye, everyone.